My female boss refused to book my flight for a $5 million deal. She insulted me. Why bring trash? But I knew something she didn't. The client CEO is my brother. I smiled and said, "Good luck in the meeting. It's a $5 million deal today. Do you think I should carry the trash?" Carla's remarks left me speechless. On the other end of the line, I could hear her giggling with delight. I was unable to get through to her after the call ended, and the phone was switched off. She had planned this from the start. But Carla is unaware that my brother is the CEO of the client company. I called my brother and added myself to the standby list for the upcoming flight. I've put up with her small-time harassment up until now, but I'm at my breaking point. Carla needs to confront reality. My name is Juliana, and I'm 26 years old. I work for a trading company in the sales division. My sales proposals are highly appreciated, and I consistently achieve the highest sales performance thanks to my positive outlook, strong interpersonal skills, and in-depth product knowledge. Even within the company, I have received recognition and am frequently referred to as the ace of the sales department. Naturally, though, things weren't always easy from the start. I made a lot of mistakes when I first started working right after high school. Insufficient product knowledge occasionally resulted in unhappy clients and unsuccessful negotiations. Looking back, I used to hate studying and tried to land contracts using only tactful conversation. I didn't want to continue my education after high school, so I entered the workforce immediately. As a child, I was often compared to my intelligent brother. No matter how hard I studied, I could never match his grades. I felt like my parents were subtly evaluating my performance whenever they praised him. I studied every day, had tutors, and even went to cram school, leaving no time for play. Nevertheless, I scored below 600 on the SAT I took for college. My brother, on the other hand, scored nearly 1,600 and was accepted into a highly prestigious university. Despite my best efforts, I was unable to outperform my brother or live up to my parents' expectations. After realizing that no matter how hard I tried, I would never meet their standards, I started to hate studying. I lost interest and didn't want to experience any more misery. Determined, I chose to start working right out of high school instead of going to college. At the time, I believed that if I stopped going to school, I wouldn't have to study anymore. But in reality, assimilating into society required ongoing learning. I used to hate it, but one day I offered a customer a product better suited to their needs than what they originally planned to buy, and it completely transformed my life. I was thrilled to see the customer smile and express gratitude for my recommendation. For the first time, I realized how much I enjoy learning. Because of that realization, I started studying product knowledge more than anyone else. My current sales performance is the result of all that effort. Good results often attract unwanted jealousy. Recently, I have caught the attention of a problematic person. Her name is Carla. She joined our company 6 months ago and is also 26 years old. She was reportedly the top salesperson in the sales division of a rival company where she previously worked. When she first joined, I was assigned to be her trainer. "Nice to meet you. I'm Juliana, and I'll be in charge of your training," I said. "Really? You're my trainer? You seem kind of unreliable. Are you sure this is okay?" Carla replied, looking clearly dissatisfied. She seemed very confident in her abilities, almost mocking me as she looked at my face. Looking back, I realized that I disliked Carla from our very first encounter. But work is work. Since I was assigned to train her, I had to do it properly. I thought I was teaching her everything carefully and seriously, even including a thank you note with shipments. "Juliana, are you really using such an inefficient method? Unbelievable. This product is more popular than that one, so you should know that just by thinking logically." She kept making these kinds of condescending comments. Sure, adding a thank you note takes extra effort, and some people might throw it away without reading it. But there are also people who appreciate it. No one feels bad about receiving a thank you note, so I believe it's worth the effort to express gratitude for choosing our product and buying from me. As for the products themselves, it's more important to consider what the customer wants rather than what's popular. For example, if a customer wants fruit-rich in vitamin C, suggesting a sugary sweet just because it's popular is unlikely to lead to a sale. At worst, it might even anger the customer. Even if it doesn't go that far, suggesting acerola products, which have much more vitamin C than lemons, might be more satisfying than just recommending lemons because they are commonly associated with vitamin C. Engaging with customers to understand their needs and adjusting my recommendations based on their reactions is my style. Popular items are well received by many, but might not be the best for the customer in front of me. Keeping that in mind when dealing with customers is my approach. Sure, it might be inefficient, but I didn't think it was so bad that it deserved to be laughed at from a superior position. Even if I believed I wasn't wrong, being laughed at and criticized for everything I taught was still hurtful. A month after I started training Carla, the sales results were announced. As usual, I was the top performer for that month. Everyone clapped and praised me except for Carla. She glared at me with jealousy and bit her lip in frustration. From that day on, Carla's behavior toward me worsened. When I tried to teach her product knowledge, she mocked me, saying, "You're such a nerd for remembering all that detail." She even started spreading rumors that I was using my looks to get sales. Fortunately, no one believed her, but the clear malice was shocking. Had I done something to make her hate me so much? But Carla's training period was only a month. After that, she would be on her own and wouldn't bother me anymore. At least, that's what I thought. Soon enough, I realized I was wrong. Her harassment didn't stop after the training period. At first, it was minor things. My pen would disappear, or the sticky notes I left on my computer monitor would be gone. I thought I had just misplaced them or that they had blown away. But when all my schedules in the company's app were deleted, I knew it wasn't just my imagination. Other things happened too. Documents I had saved in the shared folder disappeared. Faxes and mail addressed to me ended up in the shredder bin before I could read them. And customer calls were abruptly cut off. I had been completely clueless about who was responsible. But one day, when a call was suddenly disconnected, the culprit was finally revealed. It was Carla. I found out by chance. When the call suddenly got cut off, I panicked and looked around frantically. There she was, with a smug grin on her face, holding an unplugged phone cord. Of course, something like this interfered with work. If a call gets abruptly cut off, it also inconveniences the customer. I asked Carla to stop harassing me, but she didn't listen at all. "Huh? Do you have any proof? Proof that I did it? Don't accuse me without evidence. It's really annoying. You're so paranoid." She sneered at me, looking up from below with that mean smile. I had seen her unplugging the phone cord, but when it came to proof, I was at a loss. She laughed at my silence. "See? You don't have any proof. Just because you have good results doesn't mean you can get cocky for all the trouble you've caused. I hope this makes up for it." Then Carla reached into the bag beside my desk caught my attention. I was so shocked that I just stared in disbelief as Carla pulled out my wallet, took 5 $20 bills from it, and tossed the wallet back to me. "Thanks for the bonus. If you keep this up, you can accuse me all you want," she said, laughing loudly as she walked away, leaving me stunned. I thought this harassment was too much, so I consulted my boss. However, without proof, he said it was hard to take action, and even if there was proof, if there was no malicious intent, it would be considered just a mistake, so he couldn't reprimand her too harshly. Still, my boss did caution Carla, though it didn't seem very strict. As a result, Carla resented me even more. From then on, she harassed me almost daily. No matter how many times I registered my schedule, it would be deleted and documents I created would disappear from the shared folder. Redoing schedules and recreating documents took extra time, forcing me to work overtime more often. Since Carla started her harassment, my overtime hours had more than doubled. To avoid issues with phone calls, I told customers to email me for non-urgent matters and to call me only for urgent or important issues, citing problems with the office phone line. It was inconvenient for customers used to calling the office directly, but it was better than having calls cut off mid-conversation. As for the mail and faxes that ended up in the shredder bin, I had to check the bin several times a day. It was a waste of time, but losing a customer's trust by not receiving something they sent would take far longer to fix. Building trust is hard, but losing it takes just a moment. Carla didn't seem to understand that. I had endured her harassment for the past 5 months. But finally, something decisive happened. A few days ago, I was chosen as the main contact for a major corporation that inquired about our products. This company is one of the leading medical device manufacturers in the country, holding a top market share in the industry. If we secured a contract, it would be worth millions. Not only would I achieve this quarter's sales target, but I would also be on track for promotion. Since it was such a big account, I planned to choose a colleague I got along with for support. However, Carla's extreme enthusiasm and self-promotion convinced my boss to assign her as my support instead. I didn't think I could work well with Carla, but I thought we could both act professionally and manage to cooperate, at least on the surface. However, she provided no support at all. Instead, she sent materials for her preferred products to the client without my permission. A close colleague discreetly informed me of this. Luckily, it didn't become a significant issue. I quickly called the client contact, casually mentioning that I had sent some materials for products they might be interested in. I briefly explained the differences between the product Carla sent and the one they inquired about, identifying the client's needs in the process and arranging a detailed discussion. Thanks to my colleague's help, Carla's premature actions didn't cause major problems, and the client was receptive. On the appointment day, I introduced the products they inquired about and, based on our prior conversation, recommended other suitable products. During the discussion, I identified more of the client's latent needs and recommended products that better match their desires. This is my usual sales approach. Fortunately, the client appreciated my style, enjoying the detailed pros and cons of various products and finding the best fit for their company. We narrowed it down to 3 final candidates and agreed to consult with higher-ups. 2 days later, the client contact informed me they had decided to order one of the products. After discussing quantities and terms, I prepared a quote and sent it to them. The quote amount was $5 million. Carla was wide-eyed when she heard the news. Wow, that's a huge deal. I guess they went with the product I sent materials for, right? Let me see the quote. She smirked and snatched the estimate I had created. Her smile froze as she read it. That was only natural, I thought. The chosen product wasn't the one she promoted. In fact, it wasn't even among the final 3 candidates. It was like asking for a red vegetable and getting an orange bell pepper. Close, but not what they wanted. Carla, could you book our flights? We're scheduled for a direct meeting with the client in 2 weeks. Let's go together. When I suggested that, Carla immediately broke into a grin. I thought she had finally calmed down and felt relieved. But on the day of the meeting, I was left stranded at the airport. The meeting was scheduled for 1 p.m., and it was a 3-hour trip each way. I planned to meet Carla directly at the airport without going to the office. The meeting time was an hour before our flight's departure. However, when that time came, Carla didn't show up. I was supposed to get my ticket from her before boarding. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I tried calling her several times but received no answer. As concerned as I was about Carla's well-being, I was also worried about missing my flight. I headed to the counter, explained the situation, and asked if I could still board. That's when I discovered something shocking. My ticket hadn't been reserved. Only Carla's had been. With a pale face, I called Carla again. After several rings, she picked up. Sorry, I was busy with the boarding process and couldn't answer, Carla said nonchalantly. I confronted her immediately. Carla, they said there's no reservation under my name for this flight. What's going on? In my panic and anger, I couldn't help but raise my voice. But Carla just laughed, clearly enjoying herself. Today is about a $5 million deal. Should I bring trash along? Her words made my mind go blank. I could hear her gleeful laughter on the other end of the line before she hung up and turned off her phone, making it impossible to reach her. She had planned this from the start. But there was something Carla didn't know. The client company's CEO is my brother. I put myself on standby for the next flight and called my brother, Leonardo. Until now, I had tolerated Carla's petty harassment, but I couldn't take it anymore. It was time for her to face reality. Both the next flight and the one after that were fully booked, leaving me stranded at the airport. Finally, at 1 p.m., the scheduled meeting time, not even 15 minutes had passed when my phone rang. The caller ID displayed G. The call came much sooner than I expected. Suppressing my laughter, I answered. Hello. Where are you right now? We're at the airport, Carla said defensively. You should know exactly where I am, Carla. You didn't reserve my ticket. Carla was momentarily speechless. Just get here quickly. The client CEO says that if you don't come, the deal is off. Carla's panicked voice echoed through the phone. In the background, I could hear familiar voices speaking in tense tones. Then, a video call invitation appeared on my phone. My brother had likely instructed her to switch over as planned, and I accepted. Carla's pale face appeared on screen, turning even greener with shock when she saw who else was there, the CEO and manager. Why are both of you with that trash at the airports? Seeing Carla's confusion made me stifle my laughter. Why were they here? The reason was simple. I had called them. The company where I work is one of several founded by my great-grandfather. His company started in retail but has now evolved into a steel group encompassing numerous subsidiary companies. His company started in the retail sector but has now evolved into a steel group encompassing numerous subsidiary companies. From small businesses to multi-million-dollar government contracts, my family's empire has grown over generations, establishing itself as one of the most respected companies in the country. Of course, Carla had no idea about any of this. To her, I was just a lucky salesperson, an annoying competitor that needed to be eliminated at any cost. She thought that leaving me stranded at the airport was the final blow, the ultimate humiliation that would end my career for good. But what she didn't realize was that I had resources and connections beyond her imagination. When the video call was answered, Carla's expression changed instantly. Her face, once filled with malicious satisfaction, turned pale and tense upon seeing my brother sitting next to the company's manager. My brother looked at me with a subtle smile, fully aware of the situation. The manager, on the other hand, appeared uncomfortable, as if realizing he'd been misled by Carla in some way. I held back a smirk as Carla swallowed hard, trying to maintain her composure. "Juliana, I didn't know that you," she stammered, struggling to justify herself. "That my brother is the CEO? No, you didn't know. You were too busy thinking you were too smart to bother with details like that, weren't you?" I replied, keeping my voice calm but firm. Carla tried to force a smile, glancing around in search of an escape. My brother, always straightforward, was blunt. "Carla, why isn't Juliana here?" "She was supposed to be leading this meeting," he asked, his voice cold, the tone I knew well. It was the tone he used when he was about to cut someone off for good. Carla fumbled, mumbling weak excuses, saying something about last-minute issues and misunderstandings. But he wasn't buying it. None of us were. I knew full well he had already investigated the entire situation, and this call was just to see how far Carla would take her lies. "Misunderstanding?" he repeated, leaning forward. "So you're telling me it was an accident that Juliana's ticket wasn't booked? Because, honestly, it seems very convenient that only you managed to board while she was left behind." Carla began to sweat. I could see her mind racing to come up with a convincing excuse, but it was too late. She was cornered, and the panic on her face was evident. The client's manager cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable, and looked at Carla with a stern expression. "Had I known Juliana wouldn't be present, we would have rescheduled. Our final decision was based on her work, not the materials you sent earlier, Carla. By the way, it didn't make a good impression to receive products we didn't ask for." That was the breaking point. Carla tried to argue, but all she could do was mumble nonsense. The humiliation was written all over her face, and I knew she felt the judgmental stares in that room. "Juliana, can you get here to resolve this?" my brother asked, clearly impatient. "The next flight is fully booked, but I'm on the standby list. I should arrive late this afternoon," I responded, holding back my laughter. He nodded, casting one final look at Carla. "In the meantime, we have a lot to discuss." The message was clear. Carla was about to lose everything. As soon as the call ended, Carla bolted out of the room, probably trying to find a way to salvage the situation. But I knew there was no way out for her. I took a deep breath and prepared for what was coming next. I knew that by the time I arrived at the company, I would be the center of attention. Everyone would be talking about what happened, about how Carla had tried to sabotage me and ended up exposing herself in the worst possible way. When I finally boarded the afternoon flight, my thoughts were racing. I wondered how Carla had managed to get away with her petty schemes for so long without being stopped. For months, she tormented me, tried to destroy my reputation, made me work overtime, and even made me doubt myself. But now, everything was about to change. Upon arriving at the client's headquarters, I was immediately greeted by my brother and the manager. The atmosphere was tense, and it didn't take long for Carla to reappear, now with a look of utter desperation. She tried to meet my eyes, but quickly looked away, ashamed. My brother wasted no time and got straight to the point. "Carla, we're ending our partnership with you. We appreciate your time, but we cannot trust someone who tries to sabotage their colleagues. Juliana is the one responsible for this contract, and we have full confidence in her." It was a direct hit. Carla opened her mouth to protest, but he raised his hand, cutting her off. "There's nothing more to discuss. The company needs people committed to results, not childish games. You can pack your things and leave." Watching Carla walk out of that room, defeated and humiliated, was a relief I didn't know I needed so badly. After months of tension, I was finally free of her toxic presence. She had tried to bring me down, but in the end, it was her own arrogance that destroyed her. Once Carla was gone, the manager turned to me with a relieved smile. "Juliana, I apologize for any inconvenience. We want to continue this partnership with you." I simply smiled and nodded. After everything, I knew this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one where no one would try to belittle me again. After Carla was exposed in front of everyone, I felt a momentary relief, but I knew it wasn't enough. The damage she had caused me over the past months couldn't be erased just by her getting fired. I needed to make sure she never had the chance to harm anyone else the way she had harmed me. She thought she could get away with it, but I was just getting started. In the following days, the entire company was buzzing about what had happened. Every time I walked through the halls, I could feel the curious stares and hear the hushed whispers. Some colleagues discreetly congratulated me for finally getting rid of her, while others, probably those who feared Carla or were complicit in her actions, avoided eye contact. I, however, held my head high. I knew I had won, but there was still a bitter taste in my mouth. She had wasted my precious time, jeopardized my work, and almost tarnished my reputation. I couldn't let it go without consequences. The day after her dismissal, Carla tried to contact me. At first, she sent vague messages, as if nothing had happened. "Can we talk?" And it was all a big misunderstanding. When I ignored them, her messages turned bitter. "You set me up, didn't you? And this isn't over, Juliana." I laughed, deleting every single one of them. She still didn't understand that she had lost. The real revenge, however, started when I decided to expose everything she had done within the company. Not just to me, but to other colleagues who, although not as severely affected as I was, had also fallen victim to her manipulation. With the support of HR and my brother, who already had a clear understanding of the situation, I gathered every suspicious email, every client complaint about receiving incorrect information, and most importantly, every record of her attempts to sabotage my work. The evidence was compiled into a detailed report, and when I presented it to the executives, it became clear that Carla wasn't just incompetent. She was a liability to any workplace. What happened next was even more satisfying than I had expected. The company decided to file a lawsuit against her for professional misconduct and reputational damage, claiming that her actions had resulted in financial losses due to wasted time and the need to redo affected contracts. Her name was placed on an industry-wide watch list, meaning that even if she tried to apply to another company in the same sector, she would have a hard time finding a new opportunity. But I wasn't done yet. I reached out to some contacts in other companies to discreetly warn them about Carla. The corporate world can be small, and soon enough, everyone was aware of her toxic reputation. Doors started closing for her one by one. A few months later, I heard rumors that she was desperately trying to work in a completely different field, struggling to escape the bad reputation she had built for herself. Meanwhile, my professional life took a completely different turn. My hard work was finally being recognized on a larger scale. I was promoted to a leadership position, exactly what Carla had tried so hard to prevent. Now, not only did I have more decision-making power, but I also had the responsibility of ensuring that situations like this never happened in the company again. My first move was to implement stricter internal security measures to prevent sabotage like the one I had endured. One afternoon, while reviewing reports, I received a notification from an unknown number on my phone. It was Carla, of course. She was trying a different approach, pleading for a chance to explain. "Please, Juliana, I have no other options. I know I messed up, but please help me. I need a recommendation for a job." I stared at the screen for a few seconds, remembering all the times I had to redo my work because of her, the humiliations she had tried to put me through, and the long nights spent fixing her mess. The only reply I sent was short and direct. "Good luck dealing with the trash you created yourself." I deleted the message without waiting for a response. Life moved on, and so did I. I learned that no matter how hard some people try to bring you down, true victory comes from persistence and intelligence. Carla was just a stumbling block, but in the end, it was her who tripped and fell. And me? I moved forward, stronger, more prepared, and, above all, with no fear of facing whatever challenges lay ahead.